Hi there and welcome. In this video, I'll be sharing some tips on healing from a toxic relationship. But first of all, let me just say congratulations, because being able to admit to yourself that you were in a relationship that was unhealthy and being willing to make a change and do something about that is a huge, huge step. So don't overlook that. Congratulations, and let's talk about some things that might be helpful to you. First of all, let me be very clear that I am not a medical professional. I'm not a relationship expert or anything like that. I'm just sharing some things from my heart that I've learned through personal experience that I hope maybe can be beneficial to you. Maybe the word toxic is a little bit overused, but for the purposes of this conversation between me and you, I'm talking about any relationship that is unhealthy for you, whether it's physically, mentally, or emotionally. The first tip I have would be to set boundaries. Clearly, it's not always possible to completely cut yourself off from the person that you consider to be toxic to you. If that is an option, certainly that's something to consider, but that's not always the case. So what do you do when you can't cut them off completely? You can set boundaries. And the boundaries should be clear, specific boundaries that you are willing to enforce. Setting boundaries can sometimes hurt feelings or make people angry, but there comes a time when you have to be willing to put yourself first and deal with those consequences. Only you can decide what boundaries are acceptable, and that might take some brainstorming or talking with a trusted friend. But if you put some thought into it and you really consider the ins and outs of it, I'm certain that you can come up with boundaries that work for you in your particular situation. For example, you might decide that the other person is no longer welcome in your home. That's your private territory, your space, and maybe that's off limits. So if you meet with this person, it's always in a neutral setting or in a public place, so that you can leave when you choose and there are other people around. Secondly, once you've set your boundaries, it's important that you're consistent with them. There's really no need in even setting boundaries if you're not going to be consistent. You've got to make up your mind what's acceptable for you and what's not, and then stick with it. When you're not consistent, let's face it, it makes it easier to slide back into old patterns and old things just because it's comfortable and it's what you're used to, even though it's not healthy for you. Thirdly, remember your why. There were probably some really good times in your relationship, but don't sugarcoat the fact that there was a reason you chose to remove yourself from that situation. Don't let guilt or any other emotion let you play mind games with yourself or give excuses or allow yourself to fall back into patterns that were unhealthy to begin with. Next would be forgiveness. And I know that's a tough one. You may not be ready to forgive yet, but even though you're not ready to forgive the other person, you can start working on forgiving yourself. I believe there's great healing that comes with forgiveness, whether it's external or internal forgiveness. You may feel guilty because you allowed yourself to stay in a situation longer than you should have in hindsight. Or if there were children involved, maybe you feel guilty because of what they were exposed to. But there is no room for guilt. It's not going to do any good to ruminate on those things. Self-forgiveness is really important. We all have things in our lives that we would do differently if we could go back and have a redo. But that's not possible. So I encourage you to limit the time you spend on thinking about the past and look forward and move forward to a better future. Even if you have to do it every single day, please remind yourself that the past is in the past and we're going the opposite direction. Number 5, my last tip, is to know your worth. No matter what's happened in your life, no matter your past, your worth does not come from other people. You were created by God in His image on purpose. Even when you're hurt, you're broken, you feel completely all over the place, God still loves you. He doesn't make mistakes. You are one of His, and you are worthy. Just like everything else in life, healing is a process. There's going to be good days and bad days. There may be things that linger from the past that spill over into other relationships. But you have to take the time to focus on yourself and do the hard work that it takes to be able to heal and move forward in a healthy way. Allow yourself to feel the feelings and to experience the emotions. You know, it's normal, it's okay. You're not alone. You will be all right. Don't be afraid to seek counseling or any other professional help that you might need. I hope this was beneficial to you in some way, maybe gave you a little bit of encouragement. Thank you for watching, and I wish you the best.